First, we're breaking down this game because game one was, a little bit more even than this one. This one was, I think it was minute 12. Avery said, this game's over. Oh.
I said that?
Yeah, I think you said this. Did I write it down? I did not write it down. But
I mean, when you fall that far behind with these big, Enigma team play lineups, the way back in the game is not clear. You have to farm forever. You have to pick off couriers, but you're losing economic advantage. You're losing net worth somewhere else. At some point, you have to be able to take the Roche fight. The thing about this meta is once you fall behind with the team fight lineups, that Roche becomes harder, and then Roche is just broken. By the third or fourth Roche, it's way too much net worth. You can't split push anymore because Ags and Refresher Shard outdo whatever you can split push or how many couriers you can kill. It doesn't matter. At some point, you have to take the 5-on-5. Honestly, the 5-on-5 synergy was just not there today. I think you could have had any draft, and I think Entity would have beat them today.
Yeah,
the way they're playing.
Entity pretty much got every single hero that they wanted. If you look at their most played heroes in the last couple of months, these are the heroes that they're going to pick. And before this series even started, we talked about Entity being relatively predictable in terms of heroes that they pick. You know what's coming. You know this position 4-3 and this 5 disruptor. You try to counter it. It doesn't work. I think it all started with this first pick, Ricky, where it allowed Entity to pick heroes. They're like, you know what? We're going to go with all push heroes. We're going to put so much pressure. And I really didn't feel the influence of these two supports other than killing the couriers. This is no damage draft. And I feel like that Entity realized relatively early on that they need to shut down Leshrac to be able to continue domination in the mid game. Because if you take out Lesh out of the equation, there's literally no damage on their side.
I do think that EG lost their sense of identity a little bit in this series because I think that. So we talked about how Entity have heroes that they excel at, and everybody prepared openers for the other team's openers, right? But I think that them feeling the need to take this Leshrac in the first phase right after the Ricky, it just didn't look right. Something about that looked weird. So you take the Ricky, which is great, that's good for you, but then you give away the Nature's Prophet and the Train Protector, and then you pick Enigma later on. Enigma comes out, I think, 8th?
Yeah.
Versus this Train Protector that you don't really have a solution for, and you already see this Nature's Prophet, and then the Enigma just absolutely loses in lane to this Nature's Prophet and Disruptor. It's just, it feels like I think they got a little bit nervous, right? They had heroes in mind that they wanted to address on the side of Entity, and the way that they wanted to address it was, okay, let's beat their Lina, which they didn't do, and let's take their Enigma, which didn't work out for them because they just lost the Nature's Prophet. So I feel like maybe it was a little bit of nerves. Entity played impeccably well, not to take anything away from them, but this isn't the EG that we watched in the group stages.
It is not. Before the series started, we talked about the importance of WISPER. Well, WISPER has crushed his lane in the group stages, so we kind of thought he was going to do the same thing here, but both games, SVG, I feel like WISPER got shut down quite hard.
Yeah, he got crushed.
Yeah.
And I don't really think of Entity as a strong, super strong safe lane team. I think they have very good players, but I don't think Entity goes in their games, oh, we're going to crush our safe lane and play off that or lane. It's more just get Watts into his timings, get him to his farm. They play through Stormstormer, right? Or if anything, maybe Toby randomly wins his lane. You can go there. They just dominated.
I want to go back to something you said when this series started, before it started, where you said, Enigma is not a hero that plays well from behind, especially if he's supposed to do stuff, get to his aura timings. Didn't happen. It's a difficult matchup for Enigma playing into Disruptor and Nature's Prophet. It just gets really tough relatively early on. One thing to point out is Fishman. He's been playing this Disruptor for a very long time.
Speaking of the Disruptor, I think Disruptor brute forcing the Enigma to die in that first blood was absolutely the play. Because this is an Enigma team, they know how to shut down an Enigma, and they did it so well. And because of how well this Nature's Prophet lane went, you had the Disruptor rotating mid. With the first exorcism, he killed the Leshrac. Leshrac suddenly was like, how do I get back into this game? My top lane went poorly, my bottom lane went poorly, this Disruptor's camping me mid, what do I do? And then it just felt like at no point did EG have a play back into the game. Even when they got that level, that shard at minute 15, it didn't do anything. Ricky can't do anything. He was just killing couriers the whole game. The only play that he had in that game...
He got a lot of cheers for it, though.
He did, yeah. They applauded the courier death.
Yes.
Yeah, a bit of a resident sleeper draft there from EG, Naga, Siren, Alti, Ricky with the sleep. They needed, maybe a Bane or Elder Titan to put them all to sleep. Yeah, didn't really feel the influence other than killing the couriers from Ricky, because this time around he did not have really the hero to play with. Maybe in a good game he can play off less track stun, but other heroes not as much.
To me, the conceptual understanding of how to beat this enemy team was not there today, and that's where I said, if you're going to play these types of lineups for EG, you got to make the game super chaotic. There has to be just deaths all over the place so Ricky can shine. You're taking towers, opening space. None of that happened. Where was the fire? Where was the fight?
Where was that guy that runs into the fire?
The fire walker is what we called him.
I mean, exactly. There's no fire. I mean, there's a fire. This whole game's like fire, but no one's walking into it.
The thing is, they at no point looked like they were winning the lanes, and at no point did they look like they had any kind of move on the map that was something that Entity couldn't respond to. And it was just so simple, right? Entity just walked into Roche, they pressed Exorcism, nobody came in, they took Roche, right? They take map control, then on the second Roche, they walk into Roche, you can't do anything. They had no way to fight back into this Roche pit just by nature of how behind they were. I think, honestly, EG are not an Enigma team. Beast Coast, they're not an Enigma team. We saw Beast Coast in the group stages as well. I just bring this up because, South American style of Dota, their flavor is a little bit different. Sometimes they feel the need to pick it versus Enigma teams, and then it just doesn't work out for them. So I think that in tournaments like this, especially during the main stage when you can feel the most pressure, you should just kind of stick to your guns, right? You should just remember what you're good at and do that, and don't try to do too much, because what you were doing before worked really freaking well.
And this one did not work. I want to touch upon the nerves a little bit, because of course we have to mention it. The crowd was very loud, and they cheered very hard for when EG did something right. They weren't as loud for Entity. They cheered a little bit, but not as much. How much of the pressure do we feel got to EG? Because we said earlier that didn't feel like the EG we saw on the group stage. Avery, as the most recent former player, coach, enlighten us.
I think they felt it a little bit more than I expected them to, in terms of, you were talking about the responsibility aspect before the series started. It did feel like they weren't responding, they weren't turning up with the crowd enthusiasm. It was more like, oh crap, this crowd is super into us and we're not doing good. Like, kill another courier, the crowd goes wild, but you're like, this game still feels rough, guys.
There were no more couriers left to kill.
Yeah,
that was the issue.
Only so many crowd cheers you can get off courier kills.
He tried real hard. He even blinked inside the base thinking he dodged a tower, which he didn't, and then he just got killed off inside Entity's base. He just wants to play some words, kill more couriers, get cheers. Didn't happen. We can see what this series and the previous series has done to the bracket. There is some sad news coming our way, because it does mean that Evil Geniuses is facing Beast Coast in the lower bracket, and that is painful for the South American fans for sure. Earlier today we saw Gaming Gladiators win versus Aster, and they are now having their opponent because Entity move forward. They guarantee themselves top 6 here at this Lima Major.